morning, dear students. I am Miss NAVEDA SHAIKH from Brahan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika MCGM virtual class. I welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. In today's session, we'll be learning something new and interesting from a science textbook. So let's get started. Good morning, dear students. I am Mrs. NAVEDA SHAIKH from MCGM virtual class. I welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. In today's class, we'll be learning a very interesting chapter from your science textbook. And the chapter's name is Light and Formation of Shadows. Now in this chapter we will be learning the importance of light, how light is formed and how the formation of shadows takes place. It's a very interesting chapter because light is extremely important in our life, because if you close your eyes you're not able to see things around you, right? So it is only because of light that things are visible to you and you can see things around yourself. So if we start with a very simple activity, there is a activity I would like you all to close your eyes and try to see things around you. So when you close your eyes, you're not able to see anything around you, right? Now, when you open your eyes and you see things around you, you're able to see so many different items like the fan, the tube light, the wall, people around you, your friends, your family members, right? Now that is all possible only because of light that is there. Even in the night, if you are sleeping, okay, not sleeping, if you are lying on the bed and if there is no light, still you can see some of the other objects around you. Why? Because there is some of the little amount of light coming from some of the other ways, like from the moon or from the street. You are able to see there is little bit light present, and that is the reason you are able to see things during the night also. Okay? Apart from that, if you close your eyes, if you shut your eyes, there is no light falling onto your eyes, and that is the reason you're not able to see anything. So what exactly happens is, if there is light around us and if there's a book kept, okay, first of all, light is very important and a good eyesight is also important to see things around you. So when the light falls from the source of light, now sun is acting as the source of light. The light is falling onto the object. Okay. Now once the light is falling on the object, what will happen is that light gets reflected back into our eyes. Okay, it gets reflected towards your eyes and you are able to see that object. Now there are certain objects or materials which emit light, meaning those which themselves are a source of light are called luminous objects or materials. Now here in this picture you can see that there are various objects like a candle, a lighter, a laser light, firewood, okay, fire burning, or the lighthouse, um, matchstick, or the night lamp, or the focus. Okay, these are all objects which are producing light from them. हाँ कि नहीं, हम लोग देखते हैं ना हमारे घरों में जो ट्यूबलाइट्स है या बल्ब्स है, कैंडल्स है, ये सब में से लाइट एमिट होती है. तो इस तरीके के ऑब्जेक्ट्स जो लाइट एमिट करते हैं उसे हम लोग कहते हैं ल्यूमिनस ऑब्जेक्ट्स. ओके, और लाइट प्रोड्यूसिंग मटीरियल्स और ऑब्जेक्ट्स. ठीक है, जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स लाइट एमिट करते हैं उसे हम लोग ल्यूमिनस ऑब्जेक्ट्स कहते हैं या फिर मटीरियल कहते हैं. अंडरस्टूड? So these objects are very important because they are helping us to see things around us. Non-luminous objects, the objects or materials that are not source of light themselves, are called non-luminous objects or materials. Now your body or the pen, the wood, the furniture that you have which is made up of wood, now these objects cannot emit light. मतलब ये खुद से light नहीं produce कर सकते. क्या ये जलते हैं या क्या इनमें से light आती है? नहीं. So these type of objects or materials are called as non-luminous objects. Understood? So if I ask you a few examples of luminous objects and non-luminous objects, you should be able to write it down. Luminous means the objects which are emitting light, and non-luminous objects means the materials that are not source of light by themselves. So luminous and non-luminous objects. A luminous object is one that produces light. A non-luminous object is one that reflects light. ठीक है, तो वो प्रोड्यूस नहीं करता है, वो रिफ्लेक्ट करता है लाइट. and both the objects are very important for you all to see things around you. Luminous objects के examples हैं the sun, lamps, light, laser, campfires, and the non-luminous object or the reflectors are the moon, mirrors, people, objects. Now there are a few luminous objects. Some of them are artificial source of light and some are naturally producing light. Okay, so first let us understand about artificial lights. Artificial light sources are man-made. They include candle, lamps and matchsticks. Okay, so lamp, matches, candles, these are all artificial sources of light which are man-made. जो हमसे बना इंसान ने बनाया है वो artificial light के sources है. ठीक है. Now we come to the natural sources of light. Very simple example is the sun. The sun is the main natural source of light. Other stars seen in the night sky, fireflies, जुगनू जो बोलते हैं ना हम लोग fireflies, you can see the example also here. Some angular fish as well as honey mushrooms are natural sources of light. So here this picture that you can see of a jellyfish or the fireflies, these are all examples of naturally producing light by organisms. Okay, कुछ organisms, कुछ animals अपने आप में light produce करते हैं. There are some animals, there are certain plants also which produce light like the honey mushroom that I'll be showing you all ahead. And the main source of light, the natural source of light is the sun. Okay, so you have to remember these examples. This is the honey mushroom that I'm talking about. You can see that it appears to be brownish in color, but during the night it actually shows bioluminescence, means you can actually see that glow during the night. And on the other side you can see sun, which is a natural source of light. Let us see that. The rays of light from the slit or the hole move towards the floor. Now if you have a closed room, okay, and if you have a small window or a small opening in the door, you will find that during the day these slits of small slits that are there in the doors, or if there is a window, there will be rays of light coming into the room. Okay, so these rays of light from the slit or the hole move towards the floor. The dust particles in their way are seen clearly. Due to these particles, the path of the light becomes visible and we can see that their path is along straight lines. So if you have ever noticed, and if you haven't noticed, you can do this at home also. Early in the morning, okay, when it is still dark, and if you open one of the window, okay, and as the sun starts to rise, you will find that through the window you will find the light falling into the house, coming inside the house, and it is coming, and it is you will find that the rays are coming towards the ground. And if you notice in that particular region jahan se light aa rahi hai, you will find that there will be small tiny particles that you can see in that particular part where the light is coming, okay, through the window. Now that helps us to understand that the light which is coming, it is coming in a straight line. Okay, it is coming along a straight path. Understood? So you can do this and see this for yourself also. Now we come to the properties of light. Now first thing, as I told you, that light travels in a straight path. Okay, so the very first property of light is light travels in a straight line. Okay, if you have a laser light at home, you must have used it when you were small also, and now also. There are a few kids who have laser lights. Now if you try and put it on, and if you try to move it anywhere, you will find that there is a straight line which is coming out from that point. Okay, so that is one of the very simple examples that helps us to understand about this property of light, that light travels in a straight line. This is called the linear propagation of light. ठीक है, we learned about sound in our previous chapter, that sound travels in the form of waves, but light travels in the form of a straight line. Okay, that is called as linear propagation of light. Now you have to look at the flame of the candles here. Okay, there are two situations given to you. In the first picture, you have three cardboards. and there are holes in them, and each of the hole is placed, they are aligned in a particular way कि हम लोगों को एक दूसरे से होल के थ्रू एक लाइन में अलाइन किए गए सारे होल्स, okay, in that cardboard. And on the other side there is a candle which is lit, and you have to see from the other side whether you are able to see the flame or not. In the first situation you are able to see the candles, burning candle, and in the other situation, if again I have three cardboard pieces and there are three um, holes in them, okay, there are holes in each of them, but they are not aligned in a straight line, okay, there are the cardboards are placed little bit here and there, and if I'm trying to see through one of the holes, okay, you will not be able to see the candle on the other side. Now why is it? Because of the property, the first property that we learned about linear propagation of light. As we learned that the light coming from the from the candle, it will be traveling in a straight line. वो एक straight line में travel करेगी, इसीलिए वो जब कार्डबोर्ड्स एक लाइन में लगे हुए थे, एक straight path में लगे हुए थे, तो we were able to see the light. But on the other side, when these cardboards are moved, तो जो holes है वो भी इधर उधर हो गए हैं, and now we are not able to see the candle because the light has got blocked and we are not able to see because there is no straight path. ठीक है, so straight line के through ही हम लोग ये देख सकते हैं. You all can do this experiment by yourself also at home under your parents' guidance and see whether you are able to see the candle flame burning on the other side and do this to both the situations. Okay, पहले में हम लोग एक दूसरे के आगे अरेंज करेंगे एक लाइन में होल्स को, ताकि हम लोगों को कैंडल दिख सकती है. एंड ऑन दी अदर साइड अगर हम लोग बीच का कार्डबोर्ड थोड़ा सा स्लाइटली मूव कर देते हैं और फिर देखने की कोशिश करते हैं, तो हम लोगों को वो लाइट नहीं दिखेगी. We see things because they reflect light into our eyes. Okay, I started with this only, that if there is a sun, that is the source of light, and there is an object. Now this sun will give out light and that light will fall onto the object, okay, and that object will reflect that light. That reflected light will fall onto our eyes and then we will be able to see things around us. Okay, तो यही होता है जो सनलाइट है, ट्यूबलाइट से जो भी हम लोगों को लाइट्स का सोर्स है, जिसमें से जब लाइट निकलती है तो ये लाइट है ना हर ऑब्जेक्ट के ऊपर गिर रही है. Okay, it is continuously falling on all the objects around you, and these objects are reflecting this light. When they are reflecting the light and when you are looking at the object, क्या होता है, वो reflected light हमारी eyes पे गिरती है और हम लोगों को वो object का image clear दिखाई देता है. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पर भी ये जब होमवर्क की जो बुक रखी हुई है, when the sun rays are coming and falling onto the homework book, that light is now getting reflected from the book. Okay, now that reflected light is falling onto your eyes and then the eye sends you a message that you are able to see that homework book. Now what is the reflection of light? The rays of light falling on an object from a source of light are thrown back from the surface of that object. This is called reflection of. Now let us see reflection from a mirror. Now suppose if this is a mirror and this is an imaginary line, that is the normal. This light is the light coming from the source of light. Okay, this is the incident ray जहाँ से light आ रही है. Now this light will fall on the normal, एक point पे गिरेगा. अब वहाँ से वो light वापस ऊपर की तरफ उठेगा and that is called as a reflected ray. Okay, so this is what exactly is a reflection of light. It will form an angle of incidence and angle of reflection. Now depending upon the surface जिसके ऊपर ये light गिर रही है, there are two types of reflections that we are going to study. First is smooth shiny surface अगर हमारे पास है, then you will have a clear reflection. Okay, whereas if you have a rough dull surface, they will have a diffuse reflection. मतलब सही तरीके से clear reflection नहीं पड़ता उसका. So diffuse reflection is when the light is scattered in different direction. You all can see this light is falling onto the rough surface and because of that the reflection that is happening is not in a proper pattern. Okay, it is scattered in different directions. So this is diffuse reflection. So here there are two examples of specular reflection and diffuse reflection. The reflection that is coming from the ground, and if you notice that the ground is not, if the ground is not smooth, okay, or shiny, then the reflection will be diffuse. मतलब इधर उधर scattered होगी reflected rays. Whereas if the surface is smooth and shiny, it will have a specular reflection. Okay, so both the examples are clear of two types of reflection. Now stars are luminous. As I told you that moon is a non-luminous object, but stars are luminous object, means they have their own light. Planets, satellites are non-luminous objects. Sunlight reflected from the surface of the moon reaches us. That is how we can see the moon. We call this light moonlight. So here you can see that there are three things in this picture. There's sun, there is moon, and there's earth. Now moon does not have its own light. Okay, it is a non-luminous object. But sun is a luminous object. Even earth is a non-luminous object. Now we move on to a very interesting topic in our chapter that you must have all observed and you must have wondered also कि ऐसा क्यों होता है. Now if you are standing in front of a mirror, okay, the normal mirror that you have in the house, when you see your face in a mirror, the light is reflected from your face, falls on the mirror and gets reflected back again. That is why you see the image in the mirror. ठीक है, इसीलिए हम लोगों को हमारी खुद की इमेज क्लियरली दिखाई देती है मिरर के अंदर, क्योंकि क्या हो रहा है, there is a plane mirror. Okay, once you are standing in front of the mirror, the light is falling onto your body, and from your body it is falling onto it is getting reflected towards the mirror. Okay, once it reaches the mirror, it again reflects back to your eyes, and that is why we can see the image in the mirror. The next important thing that you see, you must have observed, is your hand. If you are lifting your right hand, it will appear that you are lifting a left hand in the mirror. Okay, so if you see in this picture also, this man is trying to put his right hand up, but in the mirror, the appears up to be left hand image. So images in a plane mirror. The left and right side of the original object appears to be exchanged in the mirror image. The image is as far behind the mirror as the object is in front of it. The size of the image is the same as that of the object. ठीक है, जो साइज होगी इमेज की वो सेम होगी as that of the object. हम लोग जब खड़े होते हैं तो हमारा proportion सेम दिखाई देता है मिरर में, ज़्यादा छोटे या बड़े नहीं दिखाई देते. This is one of the very important property of a plane mirror. ठीक है, along with that, the image is as far behind the mirror. जितने हम लोग खड़े होते हैं ना, हम लोगों को उतने ही दूर हमारा इमेज भी दिखाई देता है मिरर में. ठीक है, so it is because of the property of the plane mirror that you are able to see that. Next we have is a pinhole camera. If you take an empty cylindrical box, here in this picture you can see that, remove its cap on one side and paste a thin white paper in its place. Make a small hole at the center of the other cap, light a candle and hold the box in such a way that the flame of the candle is in front of the hole. Now you will see an upside down or intervaled image of the flames on the thin paper at the other end. Okay, तो जब हम लोग इसके थ्रू हम लोग जब कैंडल को देखेंगे तो हम लोग को एक थिन जो पेपर यूज करें हम लोग ने, you will see that upside down image, उल्टी इमेज दिखाएगी, inverted image दिखेगी of the flame on this thin paper at the other end, दूसरे साइड. ठीक है, this is a pinhole camera. Now what exactly it is actually doing, let us see this. This is again a pinhole camera. There is a box. Okay, it is not cylindrical. Here it is square only, but there is a pinhole which is created, and there is a thin screen which is kept so that an image would be formed over it. Through the pinhole camera, the image of the tree is falling onto the thin paper that is there on the other side. Okay, and that is the image that is formed is inverted image. उल्टी image बनती है, same image नहीं बनती, same बनती है but उल्टी होती है.
A very interesting topic now we have is transparent, translucent and opaque. Now there are objects around us through which you can see some lights or passing through it, or some objects through which you cannot see anything passing, any light passing through. Okay, so there are different types of objects which have been divided into three types, that is transparent objects, translucent and opaque. Transparent objects allow you to see clearly through them. Some examples are the glass in the windows, okay, or you can see the glass that you have in your houses used for drinking purpose. The magnifying glass or the spectacles that you're using, all those things have transparent, are called as transparent object, because through them you can see the light coming through it clearly. साफ साफ दिखाई देता है हम लोग को उसके थ्रू भी. ठीक है, सो दीज टाइप्स ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट जिसके थ्रू हम लोग को क्लियर दिखता है तो उसे हम लोग ट्रांसपेरेंट ऑब्जेक्ट कहते हैं. Here you can see the glass, this glass through which you can see the cold drink. Okay, this is one of the examples of transparent object. Okay, so light can pass through this object. Then you have translucent objects. Translucent object only let some light through them. Okay, clearly उसके through हम लोग को नहीं दिखाई देता. There are some glasses which are there in the windows which are actually colored, or they are a little bit they're not very transparent, completely transparent. ठीक है, उसके ऊपर खुरदुरा होता है, it is slightly rough or it is colored. And if you see a paper also, if you lift the paper, you cannot see clearly through a paper. Okay, so the translucent objects only let some light through them. You cannot see clearly through a translucent object. Okay, so paper bag or paper or the windows, stained windows, okay, the colored glasses that are used in the windows, these let in some amount of light. Okay, we cannot see through them clearly, them saaf saaf nahi dikhta. The next object that we have is the opaque object. Opaque objects, they do not let any light through them. इसके through जरा भी light नहीं आती. You cannot see through them. Some examples of the opaque object is the vegetables like carrot, the toys that you have, shoes, bricks, door. इसके थ्रू अगर हम लोग देखने की कोशिश करेंगे तो हम लोगों को कुछ भी नहीं दिखाई देगा. ठीक है, तो ऐसे ऑब्जेक्ट जिसके थ्रू लाइट पास नहीं करती बिल्कुल भी, उसे हम लोग ओपेक ऑब्जेक्ट कहते हैं. So no light can pass through them. Like if you have an apple, if you try to see through an apple, you are not able to see it. So that is showing you that this is an object, example of an opaque object. Okay? So no light, if no light is passing through it, then it is an opaque object. So we have learned about the three types of object, that is transparent, translucent and opaque. In transparent, you can see light passing through it very easily, okay, clearly. And translucent, the light that passes through it but not very clearly, okay, little amount of light is coming through it. Then you have the opaque object, the wooden slot that you can see, उसके through बिल्कुल भी light नहीं आती. अगर एक window पूरी तरीके से blocked है with wooden log or wooden sheet, ठीक है, उसके through light बिल्कुल भी pass नहीं होने वाली. So these are the three types of objects that you need to know in the surrounding, and next time when you're seeing things around you, you can yourself also distinguish them into three types, that is transparent, translucent and opaque. The material through which light passes is called, said to be transparent. The material through which light does not pass is said to be opaque, and the material through which light passes partially, not completely, partially, is said to be translucent object. So we have differentiated, and we have seen all of these, or we have seen the examples also of transparent object, translucent object and opaque object. The next and a very interesting thing, that is formation of shadow. Here in this picture you can see this child who is walking, and you can see its shadow falling on the road. Okay, even if she is moving here and there, you can still see the shadow moving along with the child. So what exactly is happening and how is the shadow being formed? You have learned about opaque objects, right? So if an opaque object comes in the way of light source, light does not pass through it. As a result, the light does not reach a wall or any other surface on that particular area. That part remains dark. This dark part is called as the shadow of the object. So here in this picture, the child was moving around and there is sun, right? बाहर हम लोगों को sunlight feel हो रही है, वहाँ पर light है. The body of this child is opaque object, right? उसके through light pass नहीं कर रही है. So wherever this child is moving, it is blocking that particular area की light. उतने एरिया की लाइट ब्लॉक हो जाती है ना, तो उतने एरिया पे लाइट नहीं पहुंच रही. So that appears to be dark in color. So this dark patch that you see, that is called as the shadow. Okay. Any object, अगर हम लोग अगर एक wood का piece भी अगर हम लोग खड़ा कर देंगे रोड पे, ठीक है, and if there's sunlight, you will find that उतना region जहाँ पर वो wooden log रखा हुआ है, उसका जो भी जितना भी उसका size है, उतने size के पे एरिया हम लोगों को black dark color का दिखाई देता है on the road, because that log is not allowing the light to pass through it and that particular region appears to be dark. उतने एरिया में लाइट नहीं पड़ रही तो वो डार्क रह जाता है और उसके आसपास में हम लोगों को लाइट गिर रही है तो वो लाइट हम लोगों को दिखाई देता है. ठीक है. So shadow is made when an object blocks light. Here in this picture you can clearly see that there is a man who's standing in front of a light. Okay, that light, your body is a opaque object and the light is coming. What happens when it falls on your body and on the light on the surface behind, that is the wall that you have, if there's a wall behind you, what will happen, the light is falling onto your body and on the wall, but जितना एरिया आपकी बॉडी कवर कर रही है ना, उतने एरिया पर लाइट नहीं पहुंच पा रही है पीछे. यस और नो? ब्लॉक हो जा रही है ना लाइट उतने एरिया के लिए, तो उतना रीजन डार्क दिखाई देता है. That dark patch that you see is the shadow. Okay, the shadow is made when an object blocks the light. Light travels in a straight line, so if it is blocked, there must be a shadow being formed. The objects must be opaque or translucent to make a shadow. Okay, so if the object is translucent or opaque, then it will form a shadow. A transparent object will not make any shadow. ठीक है, अगर एक ऑब्जेक्ट ट्रांसपेरेंट है तो उसका कोई भी शेडो नहीं फॉर्म होगा, बिकॉज उसके थ्रू लाइट पास हो रही है ना, तो पीछे भी लाइट गिरेगी और उसके आगे पीछे कुछ भी डार्क पैच नहीं क्रिएट होगा. Shadow will be formed only in an opaque object if there is an opaque object in front of the source light or a translucent object in front of the point source of light. If an object is moved closer to the light source, suppose if I have one of my friends standing in front of the light source. Now if that object moves closer, जैसे जैसे वो light source के नजदीक पहुंचेंगे, जो shadow form होगा it will become bigger, बढ़ता चला जाएगा, ऐसा लगेगा कि वो shadow बड़ा होता जा रहा है. और on the other hand, if an object is moved further away, मतलब जो point source है उससे हम लोग अगर दूर होते जाते हैं, तो the shadow which is formed, it gets smaller. Okay, so if an object is moved further away from the light source, the shadow gets smaller. Here you can see in this pictures, I have a teddy bear which is kept in front of a torchlight. ठीक है, और पीछे wall है. Now there are three criteria. First, in first picture, the last shadow. So when the toy is close to the light, जब जो टॉय है हमारे टॉर्च लाइट के करीब रहेगा तो उसका जो शैडो फॉर्म रहेगा it will be bigger. If I'm moving my toy away from the light, you will find that the shadow will be smaller. And if the toy is moved, still it is moved further away, then you have a tiny shadow when the toy is at a long way from the point source of light. So this way the size of the shadows also differ. समझ में आ रहा है? कभी कभार हम लोगों को कोई चीज़ों का शैडो बहुत बड़ा दिखता है, कभी कभार सर तक बहुत छोटा है. And this is why it happens. The shadow of an object is formed only when light does not pass through the object. The kind of shadow it forms depends upon the relative distance between the source of light, the object, and the surface or the screen on which the shadow is formed. ठीक है, तो wall, this toy and the torchlight, ये तीन चीजें important है. The shadow of an object formed due to sunlight is long in the mornings and evenings and short in the afternoon. We can easily note these changes if you observe the trees along the roadside. This change in the shadow depends on the source of light, the object, and also on the surface on which the shadow is being formed. So if you have a look at a tree which is on the roadside, and if you see how the shadow changes its size depending on the time, ठीक है, कौन से टाइम पर उसका shadow सबसे बड़ा होता है और कौन से टाइम पे छोटा होता है, it all depends upon the sunlight. Okay, तो जिस तरीके से sun move होता है, that is the source of light, the tree is the object, and the surface, the ground is the acting as the screen on which the shadow is being formed. Okay, so we learned about shadows and the different sizes. Why do you find that the sizes differ in the shadows also? So shadows are places where the light is blocked. You have to remember that. In the past, the British scientist Sir Isaac Newton made a special disc. One side of the disc was divided equally into 7 petals of 7 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. The disc was fitted on a stand and rotated fast. As the disc rotated, the 7 colors disappeared and only white was seen. This proved that sunlight is made up of 7 colors. That is why the disc is known as Newton's disc. Newton wrote a book called Optics about light. Okay, so this experiment even you can do. You can take a CD and you can, if you just try to rotate it from a fixed point source, and if you try to move it, you will find that at a point हम लोग को जो CD के अंदर बहुत सारे colors दिखते हैं ना, शाइन रेनबो जैसा colors दिखाई देते हैं, that will appear to be white. Okay, and that is what is called as the Newton's disk. Okay, so I hope with this chapter is quite clear to all my students, and you should not be afraid of the shadows, because now you know how these shadows are formed even during the night, why the shadows appear to be big and small. That is all science behind it. Okay, so I hope with this chapter is quite clear to all my students. In the next coming period, we'll be learning something new and interesting. Till then, thank you. If you like the session, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel so that you can share and view the videos that we had today for you. And please do not forget to hit the bell icon so that you remain updated with all the latest videos that we'll be making for our dear students. This session was quite useful to you. In the next coming period, we'll learn something new and interesting. Till then, thank you.